The clock on the wall showed 11:47 p.m. when Maria Chen pushed her cleaning cart through the back entrance of the Thornwood Performing Arts Center. Her shoulders ached from her earlier shift at the diner, and her feet throbbed in her worn-out sneakers. But she couldn't complain. This job paid better than most, and the night shift meant she could be home when her daughter Lily left for school in the morning. "Mom, let me help with that," Lily said, grabbing the heavy trash bags from the cart. At 17, she was tall and slim, with her mother's dark eyes and a quiet determination that sometimes worried Maria. Teenagers should be out with friends, not spending their Friday nights helping their mother clean concert halls. "You should be home studying," Maria said in Mandarin, though her tone was gentle. She knew Lily had finished her homework hours ago. The truth was, she appreciated the company. The massive building felt less lonely with her daughter there. "I finished everything already. Besides, I like it here." Lily smiled as they walked down the corridor toward the main auditorium, and she meant it. While other kids her age were at parties or scrolling through their phones at home, Lily found peace in this place. The Thornwood wasn't just any performance center. It was where the city's elite came to watch orchestras, operas, and recitals. The kind of place Maria could never afford to attend as an audience member, even though she knew every inch of it. They pushed through the double doors into the auditorium, and Lily's breath caught like it did every single time. The space was magnificent. Rows and rows of plush red velvet seats faced a stage that seemed to glow under the dim security lights. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen fireworks. And there, center stage, sat the grand piano. It was a Steinway, Maria had heard the musicians say. She didn't know much about pianos, but she knew this one cost more than she'd earn in 10 years. Its black surface gleamed even in the low light, and Lily couldn't take her eyes off it. "You start with the bathrooms, I'll do the seats," Maria said, breaking the spell. She'd learned long ago to keep Lily moving. If her daughter stared at that piano too long, she'd see the longing in her eyes, and it broke Maria's heart every time. Lily nodded and headed backstage with her supplies, but she kept glancing back at the piano. She'd been playing since she was 7, ever since Mrs. Rodriguez, a retired piano teacher in their apartment building, had offered free lessons. Mrs. Rodriguez said Lily had something special, a gift. But gifts didn't pay rent. Maria worked 3 jobs to afford the second-hand keyboard in their tiny apartment, the one with several keys that stuck and a pedal that didn't work. As Maria wiped down the seats, moving row by row, her mind wandered. She thought about the concert that had ended just hours ago. She'd arrived early and heard the final minutes of it while setting up her supplies. A young man in an expensive suit had played Chopin, and the audience had applauded politely. He was good, technically perfect even, but Maria had heard Lily play, really play, pouring her heart into melodies that made Maria cry even when she didn't understand the music. Her daughter had something that suited boy didn't. 45 minutes later, Maria's phone buzzed. A text from her supervisor reminding her to lock the supply closet. She sighed and headed backstage to finish up, expecting to find Lily organizing the cleaning supplies, but Lily wasn't there. "Lily?" Maria called out, her voice echoing in the empty backstage area. A flutter of panic rose in her chest. Then she heard it. Music, piano music, flowing from the auditorium like water. Maria walked back through the corridors, following the sound. When she reached the auditorium doors, she stopped and peered through the small window. Her hand flew to her mouth. There was Lily sitting at the Steinway, her fingers moving across the keys with a confidence Maria had never seen before. This wasn't the careful, hesitant playing on their cheap keyboard at home. This was different. Lily's whole body moved with the music, swaying slightly, her eyes closed, completely lost in the moment. The melody was heartbreaking and beautiful. Maria didn't recognize it. It wasn't Beethoven or Mozart or any of the classical pieces Lily usually practiced. This was something else entirely. Something original. Maria's eyes filled with tears. She pressed her hand against the door, watching her daughter play this magnificent instrument in this magnificent hall, knowing that this was where Lily belonged, not helping her mother clean at midnight, not struggling with a broken keyboard in a cramped apartment here, on this stage. But dreams didn't pay bills. Reality was the stack of overdue notices on their kitchen counter, and the landlord who kept raising the rent. Reality was Maria's aching back and the fact that music schools cost money they simply didn't have. The song ended, and Lily sat still for a moment, her hands resting on the keys. Then she seemed to remember where she was. Her eyes snapped open and she looked around nervously as if expecting security guards to rush in. She quickly stood up, carefully closed the piano lid, and hurried off the stage. Maria stepped back from the door and wiped her eyes. She moved quickly back toward the seats, pretending to clean, not wanting Lily to know she'd been watching. She couldn't let her daughter see her cry. She had to be strong. "Sorry, Mom," Lily said breathlessly when she found Maria a few minutes later. I needed to try it just once. I promise I'll never do it again." "It's okay, baby," Maria said softly, reaching out to cup her daughter's face. "You sounded beautiful." Lily's eyes widened. "You heard?" "Every note." Maria smiled through her tears. "You're so talented, Lily. So talented." What Maria couldn't know, was that Lily had been doing more than just dreaming. For the past year, Lily had been recording herself playing on their home keyboard, editing the videos on a phone she'd bought with money from her part-time job at the library. She'd started a channel under the name Moonlight Melody, never showing her face. Just her hands on the keys. She'd done it as a way to share her music with someone, anyone beyond the walls of their small apartment. At first, nobody watched. Then a few people, then more. The latest video she'd posted last week had gotten 50,000 views. The one before that, 100,000. Her subscriber count was climbing daily, though Lily checked it nervously, almost afraid to believe it was real. She'd composed her own pieces, pouring everything into them. Her fears, her hopes, her love for her mother who sacrificed everything. The comments said things like, "This is the most emotional piano playing I've ever heard," and "Who is this person? They need to be famous." But Lily didn't feel famous. She felt like a fraud using a sticky keyboard in an apartment where she had to practice with headphones so the neighbors wouldn't complain. Standing in the Thornwood Auditorium with her mother, Lily made a silent promise. Someday, somehow, she would play on stages like this, not as someone sneaking around at midnight, but as someone who belonged there. And when that day came, the very first person she'd dedicate her performance to would be her mother. But that day felt impossibly far away. For now, they had 4 more hours of cleaning ahead of them, and Maria needed to be at the diner by 7 in the morning. They finished their work in silence, both lost in their own thoughts, neither knowing that everything was about to change. The flyer had been hanging on the bulletin board at Lincoln High School for 2 weeks. Annual Community Talent Showcase. First prize $500. Lily had walked past it dozens of times, each time feeling a pull in her chest. $500. That was almost enough to cover the rent increase their landlord had just announced. It would mean her mother wouldn't have to pick up extra shifts at the diner. She'd finally signed up on the last possible day, her hand shaking as she wrote her name on the sheet. Mrs. Patterson. The music teacher had smiled encouragingly. "I'm so glad you're entering, Lily. I've heard you play during lunch period. You're really something special." Now, standing backstage at the school auditorium on Saturday afternoon, Lily wasn't feeling special at all. She felt sick. The piano they'd be using was the same old upright in the corner, the one that was slightly out of tune and had a squeaky middle C. But it didn't matter. She'd practiced her piece on worse. Through the curtain, she could hear the audience filing in. This wasn't just a school event. The community showcase meant the whole neighborhood was invited, including students from Westbridge Academy, the expensive private school across town. They came every year mostly to show off. Their school had real funding, real music programs, real everything. "Nervous?" asked a voice beside her. Lily turned to see Tommy Chen, no relation despite the same last name. He was doing a magic act and kept dropping his cards. "A little," Lily admitted. "You?" Terrified, he grinned. "But hey, at least we're not them." He nodded toward a group of students clustered near the stage entrance, all wearing Westbridge Academy uniforms. Navy blazers, pressed khaki pants, hair styled perfectly. They looked like they'd stepped out of a catalog. One girl stood in the center of the group, holding court like a queen. Victoria Hartwell. Everyone knew who she was. Her family's name was on half the buildings in town, including the Thornwood Performing Arts Center where Lily's mother worked. Victoria was performing a violin piece, and from what Lily had overheard, she'd been taking lessons since she was 4 with a private instructor who charged $200 an hour. "Order up, people," Mrs. Patterson called out, clipboard in hand. "We're starting in 5 minutes. Remember, you're all winners just for being here." The show began and Lily watched from the wings as act after act took the stage. Tommy's magic trick went okay despite dropping cards twice. A girl from Lincoln High sang a pop song pretty well. Then the Westbridge students started their performances. They were good, really good, with expensive instruments and professional training. The audience clapped politely after each one. Victoria Hartwell's violin performance was technically flawless. Her fingers moved like lightning and she didn't miss a single note. But watching her, Lily noticed something. Victoria smiled at all the right moments, moved her body the way she'd probably been taught, but there was something missing. It felt rehearsed, perfect but empty. Still, the audience loved it, and Victoria's parents stood up for a standing ovation that others awkwardly joined. Next up, we have Lily Chen performing an original composition on piano, Mrs. Patterson announced. Lily's heart hammered as she walked onto the stage. The lights were brighter than she expected, and the audience was bigger than she'd thought. She could see her mother sitting in the back row, still in her diner uniform because she'd come straight from her morning shift. Maria waved slightly, her tired face beaming with pride. Lily adjusted the piano bench and placed her hands on the keys. Before she started, she spoke into the microphone, her voice quieter than she intended. I want to dedicate this to my mom, who works at the Thornwood Art Center. She's a cleaning worker there, and she's the hardest working person I know. This piece is called Mother's Hands. The moment the words left her mouth, she heard it. Laughter. Not loud, but clear enough. It came from the right side of the audience where the Westbridge students and their families sat. Lily's eyes found the source. Victoria Hartwell had her hand over her mouth, but her shoulders were shaking with laughter. The girl next to her whispered something, and two more students snickered. A cleaning lady? One of them said, not quite quiet enough. That's so sad. She probably learned on a toy keyboard, another voice added. More laughter rippled through that section. Victoria didn't bother hiding her smirk now. This should be interesting, she said loud enough for half the auditorium to hear. The cleaning lady's daughter thinks she can actually play. Mrs. Patterson stood up quickly. That's enough. Show some respect or I'll have you removed. But the damage was done. Lily's face burned hot and her vision blurred with tears she refused to let fall. Her hands trembled on the keys. In the back row, she saw her mother start to stand, her face flushed with anger and hurt. Their eyes met across the distance, and Lily saw something in her mother's expression. Not shame, not embarrassment, pride. Her mother was proud of her, and she was proud to be a cleaning worker if it meant taking care of her daughter. That look steadied something inside Lily. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes. She thought about her mother's hands, calloused and rough from years of scrubbing floors and washing dishes, hands that had braided her hair for school every morning, hands that had held her when she cried, hands that had sacrificed everything to give her a chance at a better life. Her fingers touched the keys and she began to play. The first notes were soft, gentle like a lullaby. The melody spoke of early mornings and late nights, of exhaustion and love intertwined. The auditorium fell silent. Even the Westbridge students stopped whispering. The squeaky middle C that Lily had worried about became part of the story, a tiny imperfection that somehow made the music more real, more human. The tempo built slowly, carefully. Lily's hands moved across the keyboard with a confidence she didn't know she had. This wasn't about the competition anymore. This wasn't about the $500 or proving anything to Victoria Hartwell. This was about telling her mother's story through music, about putting into notes what words could never capture. She played the struggle, the weight of working 3 jobs, the fear of not having enough. Then the melody shifted, becoming warmer, showing the moments of joy. The quiet breakfast together, the way her mother hummed while cleaning, the surprise cupcake on Lily's birthday made from dollar store mix because it was all they could afford, but decorated with such love. The music grew more complex, Lily's fingers flying across the keys now. She played with her whole body, swaying with the emotion, her face reflecting every shift in the melody. The notes soared high, speaking of dreams and hopes and possibilities. Then they fell back down to earth, grounded in reality but never losing their beauty. In the audience, people sat transfixed. An elderly man in the third row wiped his eyes. A young mother held her daughter closer. Even Victoria's father, sitting stiff in his expensive suit, leaned forward with an expression of surprise on his face. In the back row, Maria Chen had both hands pressed to her mouth, tears streaming freely down her face. This was her daughter, her Lily, playing like an angel. No, not like an angel, like herself. Honest and real and full of feeling. The final notes of the piece hung in the air, soft and gentle like the beginning. Lily played the last chord and let it fade naturally, her hands still resting on the keys, her eyes still closed. For a moment, the auditorium was completely silent. Then someone started clapping. It was Tommy, standing up in the wings, applauding loudly. Mrs. Patterson joined him, then the elderly man in the third row, then the young mother. Within seconds, the entire audience was on their feet, applause thundering through the small auditorium. It wasn't the polite clapping they'd given the other performers. This was different. This was real. Lily opened her eyes, stunned. Through the stage lights, she found her mother in the back row, standing and clapping harder than anyone, her face shining with tears and pride. That image would stay with Lily forever, but what Lily didn't see was the phone recording from the fourth row. A Lincoln High student named David had filmed the entire thing, from the moment of mockery to the final note. His finger hovered over the share button. This, he thought, was something people needed to see. David posted the video at 6:47 p.m. on Saturday evening, right after he got home from the talent show. He'd titled it simply, "This girl got laughed at for being a cleaning worker's daughter. Then she played this." He added some context in the description, explaining what Victoria Hartwell had said, how the audience had mocked Lily, and how her performance had silenced everyone. Then he pressed share and went to make dinner. By Sunday morning, the video had 3,000 views. By noon, 50,000. By Sunday evening, it had crossed 2 million. The comments section exploded. People weren't just praising Lily's playing. They were angry about the mockery, moved by her dedication to her mother, and absolutely captivated by the raw emotion in her performance. But something else started happening. People began making connections. "Wait, this playing style seems familiar," one comment read. "The way she moves, the emotional depth." "This reminds me of Moonlight Melody," wrote another. "Could this be Moonlight Melody? The hands look similar. Just compared this to MM's latest video. Same finger positioning, same passionate style. I think we found her." Within hours, music forums and classical piano groups were buzzing with theories. Moonlight Melody was one of the most talked about anonymous musicians on the internet. Her channel had grown to over 2 million subscribers, and her videos regularly hit millions of views. Professional pianists analyzed her technique. Music schools debated her interpretations. A famous conductor had even mentioned her in an interview, saying he'd give anything to meet the person behind the music. But nobody knew who she was. Until now. By Monday morning, the connection was everywhere. Side-by-side comparisons of Lily's talent show performance and Moonlight Melody's videos flooded social media. The evidence was overwhelming. The way she tilted her head slightly when playing soft passages, the specific finger technique she used for runs, even the emotional quality that made listeners feel like the piano was crying or laughing or telling a story. Moonlight Melody found. Read headlines on music blogs. Anonymous piano sensation is a high school student whose mother works as a cleaner. But Lily knew none of this. She didn't have time for social media. Monday morning meant school, and Monday afternoon meant her shift at the library, and Monday evening meant helping her mother clean the Thornwood again. Her phone was an old model she used mostly for calls and texts, and she only checked her Moonlight Melody account once a week to upload new videos. She had no idea her subscriber count had jumped by 500,000 overnight. At school on Monday, things felt different, but Lily couldn't figure out why. People kept staring at her in the hallways. Tommy ran up to her at lunch out of breath. "Lily, have you seen it? You're everywhere." "Seen what?" she asked, genuinely confused. "The video from the talent show. It's gone viral. Like millions of people have watched it. And people they think you're Moonlight Melody." "Are you?" Lily's face went pale. Her secret account. The one thing that was just hers that let her share her music without pressure or expectations. I have to go," she stammered and rushed toward the library. Meanwhile, across town at the Thornwood Performing Arts Center, Maria's Monday was turning strange too. She'd come in for a special daytime cleaning job, covering for a sick coworker. While she was restocking paper towels in the staff bathroom, 2 other cleaning workers burst in, both holding up their phones. Maria, you have to see this," said Rosa, who'd worked at Thornwood for 15 years. "Is this your daughter?" asked Patricia, pressing play on a video. Maria watched, her hand clutching the edge of the sink. There was Lily on stage at the school auditorium, and there was her own face in the back row, tears streaming down. The video had captured everything. The mockery, the beautiful performance, the standing ovation. The caption explained that Lily had dedicated the piece to her mother, a cleaning worker. That's my Lily," Maria whispered, her eyes filled with tears all over again. "Maria, this video has been viewed 6 million times," Rosa said, her voice excited. 6 million! "Your daughter is famous." "And look at the comments," Patricia added, scrolling. "Everyone is praising her. And they're angry about how those rich kids treated her. People are even saying she might be that anonymous piano player everyone talks about. Moonlight something." Maria stared at the phone, overwhelmed. She knew Lily played piano online sometimes, but she'd thought it was just for fun, maybe a few people watching. She'd never imagined this. Part of her felt proud, bursting with it. Another part felt worried. What did this mean? What would happen now? In the administrative wing of the Thornwood, Director Eleanor Richmond sat at her desk reading the same viral video for the 3rd time. She'd been sent the link by at least a dozen people. Board members, musicians, donors, all asking the same question. "Isn't this your building?" Eleanor recognized the talent show auditorium because her own children had attended Lincoln High. But what caught her attention was Lily's dedication. "My mom, who works at the Thornwood Art Center, she's a cleaning worker there." Eleanor picked up her phone and called the facilities manager. "I need you to pull the personnel files for all cleaning staff. I'm looking for anyone with the last name Chen who has a teenage daughter." Within 20 minutes, she had Maria's file on her desk. Maria Chen, employed for 8 years, worked night shift, exemplary record, never missed a day. Emergency contact Lily Chen, daughter, age 17. Eleanor sat back in her chair thinking, this was extraordinary. A world-class talent, or at least a potentially world-class talent, working in her building. Well, the daughter was, and nobody had known. She thought about the opportunities that had probably passed this girl by simply because of circumstances. Because her mother cleaned floors instead of sitting on charity boards. She made another call, this one to Maestro Victor Petrov, the renowned pianist who served as Thornwood's artist-in-residence. Victor was in his 70s, Russian, and famously difficult. He'd been searching publicly for months to find Moonlight Melody, offering a full scholarship to the International Conservatory of Music if he could just identify the mystery pianist. "Victor, it's Eleanor. I think I found your Moonlight Melody." "This is not funny, Eleanor. I have had hundreds of false leads. I'm not joking. There's a video you need to watch." She sent him the link. 5 minutes later, her phone rang. "Where is she?" Victor's voice was urgent. "I must meet this girl immediately. The technique, the emotion, the musicality. Even on that terrible piano you can hear it. This is the one, Eleanor. I am certain. She's a student at Lincoln High. Her mother works here, actually. She's one of our night shift cleaning staff." There was a long pause. "The mother cleans your building?" "Yes," another pause. "And the daughter, she has been there, what, possibly playing your pianos when no one watches?" Eleanor hadn't thought of that, but it made sense. The way Lily had played so confidently at the talent show, like she was used to quality instruments. "It's possible. We must arrange a meeting. But Eleanor, we must be careful. This is a child who has been mocked, humiliated in front of an audience. We cannot come at her like wolves. We must be gentle, respectful." "Agreed. Let me reach out to the mother first. I'll arrange something for this week if I can." Eleanor hung up and looked at the video one more time. She watched the moment when those students laughed at Lily. Watched the determination on the girl's face as she decided to play anyway. Watched the transformation of the audience from mockery to awe. And she watched Maria Chen in the back row, standing and clapping for her daughter with such fierce pride it made Eleanor's throat tight. This was exactly the kind of story Thornwood needed. Not another rich family buying their child's way onto the stage, but real talent, real passion, real sacrifice. Eleanor began drafting an email to the board. They met on Wednesdays, and she had a feeling this Wednesday's meeting was going to be very interesting, especially once she informed them that Abigail Hartwell's daughter was the one who'd been caught on camera mocking the girl. Abigail Hartwell, chairman of the board and the Thornwood's largest donor. That conversation was going to be delicate but necessary. Eleanor looked at her calendar. Tonight was Monday. Maria Chen would be starting her cleaning shift at midnight. Perhaps it was time for the director of the Thornwood to personally meet one of the people who kept her building beautiful, and to talk about her extraordinarily talented daughter. Maria was restocking toilet paper in the third-floor bathroom when her phone rang Wednesday evening. She almost didn't answer because she was working, but the number showed Thornwood Art Center Administration. Her heart jumped. Was something wrong? Was she in trouble for something? Hello? Her voice came out worried. Mrs. Chen, this is Eleanor Richmond, the director of the Thornwood. I hope I'm not calling at a bad time. Maria's hands went cold. The director never called cleaning staff directly. No, it's okay. Is something wrong? Not at all. Actually, I was hoping you and your daughter Lily could come to the Thornwood tomorrow evening around 7. There's something we'd like to discuss with you both. It's good news, I promise, and tomorrow, but I have to work tomorrow night. We'll consider it paid time. In fact, I insist on it. Mrs. Chen, this concerns your daughter's remarkable talent. I've seen the video from the talent show, and there are some people here who would very much like to meet her. Maria's mind raced. She still didn't fully understand what was happening with the video. Her coworkers had shown her the view counts climbing into the millions, but it felt surreal, like it was happening to someone else. What kind of people? Important people in the music world. People who can help Lily. Please trust me on this. Will you come? Something in Eleanor's voice was kind, genuine. Maria found herself saying yes before she fully thought it through. After hanging up, she immediately called Lily, who was shelving books at the library. They want to meet you, Maria said. The people from the Thornwood. Mom, I have homework tomorrow night and I need to help you clean. This is more important than homework. Please, Lily. I think something big is happening. The next evening, Maria and Lily walked through the front entrance of the Thornwood Performing Arts Center, instead of the service entrance they always used. It felt strange, wrong almost, like they were trespassing. Both had dressed in their best clothes. For Maria, that meant a simple dress she wore to church. For Lily, clean jeans and a sweater without holes. A young woman in a staff uniform met them in the lobby. Mrs. Chen, Lily, please follow me. They're waiting in the auditorium. They? Lily whispered to her mother. Her stomach was twisting with nerves. The woman led them through the elegant corridors. Maria had mopped these floors 100 times but never really looked at the paintings on the walls, the fancy light fixtures, the thick carpet that absorbed sound. It was beautiful and intimidating. They reached the auditorium doors and the staff member pushed them open. The lights were on, bright and warm. And there, scattered in the front rows, were at least a dozen people. Lily recognized some faces from photos at the Thornwood. Board members, she thought. Important people in expensive clothes. Standing near the stage was an elderly man with white hair and a kind face. Next to him stood an elegant woman in her 50s who carried herself like someone used to being in charge. And there, in the third row, sat Victoria Hartwell and her mother Abigail. Lily stopped walking. Her mother gently pushed her forward. Eleanor Richmond walked toward them with a warm smile. Mrs. Chen, Lily, thank you so much for coming. Please don't be nervous. We're all friends here. She gestured to the seats. Please sit down. They sat in the front row, feeling very small and out of place. Eleanor stood on the stage steps where everyone could see her. I'll get right to the point because I know you both must be wondering what this is about.
Lily, we've all seen the video from your talent show.
It's been viewed over 10 million times now. Lily's eyes went wide. 10 million? That couldn't be right. Your performance was extraordinary, Eleanor continued. But what really caught people's attention was something else. You see, there's been a very famous pianist online for the past year. She goes by the name Moonlight Melody. No one knew who she was. Until your talent show video. The elderly man stepped forward. His accent was thick Russian. People compared your playing style, your techniques, your emotional expression. It all matches. Lily, are you Moonlight Melody? The auditorium fell silent. All eyes turned to Lily. She looked at her mother, panicked. Maria squeezed her hand. It's okay, baby. Tell them the truth. Lily's voice came out barely above a whisper. Yes, I started the channel last year. I didn't think anyone would really watch. Anyone would watch? The old man laughed, not unkindly. Child, you have 2.5 million subscribers. I am Maestro Victor Petrov, and I have been searching for you for 6 months. I wanted to offer Moonlight Melody a full scholarship to the International Conservatory of Music. The finest piano training in the world, all expenses paid. Lily couldn't breathe. This wasn't real. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. But before we discuss that, Eleanor said, her voice becoming more serious, there's another matter to address. She looked directly at Victoria and her mother. Victoria, I believe you have something to say. Victoria's face was red. She looked like she wanted to disappear into her seat. Her mother, Abigail Hartwell, placed a firm hand on her daughter's shoulder and pushed her to stand. Go on, Abigail said firmly. Her voice was cold, controlled. She was clearly furious with her daughter, but maintaining composure in public. Victoria walked to the front, her head down. When she finally looked up at Lily, there were tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, she said, her voice shaking. What I said at the talent show, laughing at you, it was cruel and wrong. I had no right to judge you or your mother. You're an incredible musician, and your mom is clearly an amazing person to have raised someone like you. I'm really, really sorry. The apology hung in the air. Lily didn't know what to say. Part of her was still angry, still hurt. But Victoria looked genuinely ashamed, and that was something. Victoria will be volunteering at the community center all summer teaching free music lessons to underprivileged children, Abigail added. She needs to understand what real work and real sacrifice look like. She's also written a personal apology letter, which I'll give to you after this meeting. She looked at her daughter with disappointment. I raised you better than this. Eleanor stepped in again, steering the conversation back. Now, Maestro Petrov, please share the full offer. Victor moved closer to Lily and Maria. His eyes were gentle, warm. The scholarship covers everything. Tuition, room and board. Even a living stipend so your mother doesn't have to work so hard. You would study with the finest instructors in the world. We accept only 20 students per year from the entire world. This is a life-changing opportunity. Maria started crying. She couldn't help it. The thought of Lily having this chance, this future, it was everything she'd worked for, dreamed of, prayed for during those long nights of cleaning. But, Victor held up a finger. There is one condition. I must hear you play, not on a video, not on a broken school piano. I must hear you play on a real instrument here now with my own ears. That is fair, yes? Lily nodded, unable to speak. The Steinway is ready for you. Eleanor gestured to the stage where the magnificent grand piano sat, the same one Lily had sneaked onto that night. Whenever you're ready, Lily stood on shaking legs. This was it. Everything she'd dreamed about, everything that seemed impossible just days ago, all came down to this moment. She walked toward the stage steps, then stopped. She turned back to look at her mother sitting in the front row, tears streaming down her face. The question came out soft but clear in the quiet auditorium. Can I play it for my mom? The simple words hit everyone differently. Victor's eyes misted over. Eleanor smiled. Even Abigail Hartwell looked touched. This girl, being offered the opportunity of a lifetime, still thought first of her mother. Of course, Victor said gently, art is always better when it comes from love. Lily climbed the steps to the stage, her heart pounding so hard she thought everyone could hear it. She sat at the Steinway, the real one, the one she'd only touched once in secret. The keys felt cool under her fingers, perfect. She looked out at the small audience, at Victor, waiting to judge if she was worthy, at Eleanor, who'd arranged all this, at Victoria and her mother watching from their seats, at the board members she didn't know. And finally her eyes found her mother in the front row, still crying, still proud, still the reason for everything. Lily placed her hands on the keys and took a deep breath. This wasn't about proving herself anymore. This was about saying thank you. Thank you for every sacrifice, every extra shift, every tired smile, every moment her mother had chosen Lily's dreams over her own comfort. She began to play Mother's Hands, the same piece from the talent show. But somehow it sounded different here, richer, fuller. The Steinway responded to her touch like a living thing, bringing out emotions she didn't even know were in the music. The notes filled the auditorium, honest and raw and beautiful. And as she played, Lily Chen stopped being just a cleaning worker's daughter. She became exactly what she'd always been meant to be, a musician. The first notes floated through the auditorium like drops of water into a still pond. Soft, gentle, careful. Lily's hands moved across the Steinway's keys with a tenderness that made the piano sound almost like it was breathing. This was the beginning of Mother's Hands, and everyone in the room leaned forward without realizing it. Victor Petrov closed his eyes, listening. In his 73 years, he'd heard thousands of pianists, prodigies who could play faster than seemed humanly possible, Virtuosos who never missed a single note. But technical perfection wasn't what made a great musician. Soul was what mattered. Heart. The ability to make an instrument speak in a language everyone could understand. Even if they'd never studied music in their lives, and this girl had it. The melody built slowly, adding layers. Lily's body swayed with the music, her face showing every emotion the notes carried. There was struggle in those sounds, pain, exhaustion, but also love, fierce and unbreakable. The piano sang about calloused hands that worked until they bled, about a mother who chose her daughter's dreams over her own rest. Maria watched from the front row, both hands pressed over her heart. She'd heard Lily play this piece at the talent show, but here, on this magnificent instrument in this beautiful hall, it was somehow more. Every note felt like it was wrapping around her, holding her, thanking her. She'd never thought of herself as special. She was just a mother doing what mothers do, taking care of her child. But through Lily's music, she could feel how her daughter saw her. As a hero, as everything. The tempo increased. Lily's fingers moved faster now, the music becoming more complex, more urgent. This was the middle section, where the melody spoke of dreams pushed aside, of sacrifices that hurt but were made anyway. A board member in the fourth row wiped his eyes with his handkerchief. Eleanor Richmond found herself holding her breath. Even Victoria Hartwell sat transfixed. She'd been playing violin since she was 4 years old, had studied with the best instructors money could buy, had performed at prestigious venues. But watching Lily play, she understood something for the first time. She'd been trained to perform. Lily was born to create. There was a difference, a huge one, and it made Victoria feel small in a way that had nothing to do with money or status. The music shifted again, becoming lighter, hopeful. Lily played moments of joy now, shared meals at a tiny kitchen table, laughter despite everything, the warmth of being loved completely, unconditionally. The notes danced and sparkled, lifting everyone in the room. Then came the ending. Lily slowed the tempo, bringing the melody back to where it started. Simple, gentle, but different now, changed by everything that came before. The final chord hung in the air for a long moment before fading into silence. No one moved. No one breathed. Then Viktor Petrov stood up and he started clapping. Not politely, not just appreciatively. He was applauding like he'd just witnessed something extraordinary, which he had. Eleanor stood next. Then the board members, then everyone, even Abigail and Victoria Hartwell. The small audience gave Lily a standing ovation that filled the auditorium with sound. Maria ran to the stage, unable to stop herself. Lily stood up from the piano and met her mother halfway down the steps. They held each other tight, both crying, both laughing, both overwhelmed by everything happening. "You did it, baby," Maria whispered in Mandarin. "You were perfect. Because of you, Mom. It's all because of you." Victor climbed onto the stage, his eyes wet. "Lily Chen," he said formally, "on behalf of the International Conservatory of Music, I offer you a full scholarship. 4 years of training with the finest instructors in the world. You will be great, this I know. But more important, you are already real, already honest. These things cannot be taught." Lily could barely process the words. A full scholarship. 4 years. Her dreams becoming real. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much. The semester begins in September. We will handle all arrangements. Victor shook her hand, then Maria's. "Mrs. Chen, you have raised something precious. Be proud." "I am," Maria said, her voice breaking. "Always." Eleanor stepped forward. "There's one more thing." She looked at Maria directly. "Mrs. Chen, you've worked here for 8 years, and I'm ashamed to say I never knew your name until this week. I never knew you had a daughter with this incredible gift. That's my failure, not yours. But I'd like to make things right." Maria shook her head. "You've already done so much. The scholarship, it's everything. Please let me finish. We have an opening for a community outreach coordinator. The job involves connecting with local schools, organizing programs to bring young people to the arts. Someone who understands what it's like to struggle, who knows the value of opportunity. It pays 3 times what you make now, full benefits and normal daytime hours. I'd like to offer you the position." Maria stared at her. I don't have education for that kind of job. You have something better. You have lived experience and a heart that understands what matters. The rest we can teach. What do you say?" Maria looked at Lily, then back at Eleanor. "Are you sure?" I've never been more sure of anything. Then yes. Yes, thank you. I accept. More applause filled the auditorium. This time it was for Maria, and she blushed, overwhelmed. She'd spent 8 years being invisible in this building, and now suddenly everyone saw her. Victoria approached hesitantly. She held out an envelope to Lily. This is my written apology. I meant what I said earlier. I'm sorry. Really sorry. And she paused, looking embarrassed. I was wondering if maybe when you come back for holidays from the conservatory, you might give me some advice. Not about technique, but about feeling the music. You have something I don't, and I want to learn. Lily took the envelope and looked at Victoria for a long moment. The hurt was still there, but it was softening. Okay, she said finally. Yeah, I can do that. Victoria smiled, relieved. Thank you. 6 months passed like a dream. Lily spent the summer preparing for the conservatory, practicing on a real piano that Eleanor arranged for her to use at the Thornwood whenever she wanted. Maria started her new job and discovered she was actually good at it. She understood struggling families because she'd been one. She knew which kids needed opportunities because she saw herself in them. And now, on a Friday evening in February, the Thornwood Performing Arts Center was hosting Lily Chen's debut concert. Not as a student, not as Moonlight Melody, as herself, a pianist from the conservatory on winter break, performing her first major public recital. The auditorium was packed. Every seat sold out within hours. People had come from all over the city to hear the girl from the viral video, the cleaning worker's daughter who'd become a sensation. Backstage, Lily wore a simple black dress. Her hands shook slightly. Maria stood with her, straightening her collar even though it didn't need straightening. Nervous? Maria asked. Terrified, Lily admitted. Mom, what if I mess up? Then you mess up, and it will still be beautiful because it's you. Maria kissed her forehead. I'm so proud of you, Lily. Not because you're performing here tonight, but because you're kind and hardworking and genuine. The music is just extra. Eleanor poked her head in. 2 minutes. Oh, and Lily? We have a surprise for you. All the cleaning staff from the Thornwood are here tonight. Front row center. They wanted to support you. Lily's eyes filled with tears. Really? Really? Rosa said, and I quote, That's our girl up there. Eleanor smiled. Ready? Ready. The lights dimmed. The audience quieted. Eleanor walked onto the stage to make the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. Before our performance begins, I want to share something. A year ago, the young woman you're about to hear was helping her mother clean this very auditorium at midnight. She played our piano in secret, poured her heart into music that most people would never hear. Tonight she stands here not because of privilege or connections, but because of talent, determination, and a mother who sacrificed everything. Please welcome Lily Chen. The applause was deafening. Lily walked onto the stage, her heart pounding. She looked out at the audience. Front row center, she saw them. Rosa, Patricia, Miguel, all the cleaning staff in their best clothes, beaming with pride. Next to them sat Victor, Eleanor, and even Victoria with her mother. Tommy from school waved at her from the 5th row. And there, center front row, was her mother. Maria Chen, Community Outreach Coordinator, wearing a new dress but the same proud expression she'd always had. Lily sat at the Steinway and took a deep breath. The piano that used to belong only to the wealthy now waited for her touch. She thought about how far she'd come, from sneaking onto this stage in the dark to performing here in the light, from being invisible to being seen, from being mocked to being celebrated, but none of that mattered as much as the woman in the front row. Lily placed her hands on the keys and began to play. Not for the audience, not for the critics, not for her career. She played for the person who'd made it all possible, for Mother's hands that had worked so hard to give her this moment. And in that packed auditorium, as Lily's music filled every corner with beauty and truth and love, everyone understood what they were really hearing. Not just a talented pianist, but a daughter's thank you, played in the only language that could truly express it. The music soared, and so did every heart listening.